Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by Aura. Protect your Internet Explorer. Aura! Seriously, it's your all-in-one digital safety net. Don't only protect you, but also protect your family. Start your free trial right now at aura.com/chatsports. If you guys want, grade my singing voice. Coming up here on the Raiders Report, we got two mailbags. We're going to talk about the latest Ndamukong Suh rumors. We're also going to look into Paul Gutierrez's 53-man roster. I'll tell you how I'm thinking about it with some of the players that I would have had on my team, and then some of the guys I'm like, wow, I can't believe he ended up keeping that dude. Also, we're going to be breaking down the top 9 defensive tackles not named Ndamukong Suh that the Raiders could sign this offseason, and we were going to do 10, but Larry O, he just signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, so he's not going to be on the team. What up, nation? Hopefully everyone's doing well. Somebody is giving me an F for my singing voice, which I don't blame you whatsoever. So obviously, a major talking point going on not only around the NFL, but around the Raiders is Ndamukong Suh. Would you want the Las Vegas Raiders to sign or pass on him? Type S for sign, type P for pass. We're going to let the audience build up here. I'm going to give some shout-outs, and then the way that today's show is going to go is a little bit different, so keep that in mind. I got Daniel Keenan, Terrell, type an S. I also have the live poll above. To the 3% of people who have voted no, I'm just curious why, if you can give me a reason. We got Captain Rex, Dick So Solid Dixon, that's my guy right there. Juan Hernandez, Thomas Perez, Ali Zine, Drew Safford, all typing S. We also have Bryce B, Nick DeRaider 7557, I think is what it is. Typing his S for sign. I know a lot of people want the Raiders to go out and get Suh because I do think he would help out the defensive line. He would compete for a starting spot. And there's something that's about Suh that just screams what it is to be a true Raider. So most of the votes coming in right now are for S for sign. How about this question? Because I do think that this is a legitimate question right now. Not that I don't have confidence in Jonathan Hankins. Not that I don't have confidence in Bilal Nichols or Neil Farrell Jr., Matthew Butler. However, there are a lot of question marks. Like, we have to be real with ourselves. There are some legitimate question marks at the defensive tackle position for the Raiders. So let's just say Las Vegas, they go out, they sign Suh. Is he the best defensive tackle on the roster? Type 1 for yes, type 0 for no. Also, Raji Gaines, I see your super chat, bro. Remember, if you send in a super, we'll put you up here on the Raiders Report. So to the 460 people watching, only 95 likes. Let's get it up. I know your girl is not the only one telling you that. Let's go. Let's get that like number up here a little bit. We got Victor Delgado, Philip Jules, Phil, Peggy. They're saying 1 for yes, he would be. Anoptis Edwards, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Looks like it's a new name. Type in his 0. Raider 508, Alfaro 951, all typing their 1. Raider Kirk, Ricky. So if you're looking at me and most of the votes coming in right now that Suh would be the top defensive tackle on the Raiders, to me that speaks volumes of what the level of confidence is in the current defensive tackle room. On top of that, I think it just makes sense to go out and make the move. Now, I'm not going to pay Suh a lot of money. I'm going to sit somewhere in this $5 to $6 million range, maybe 5.5 mil. If he ends up making more, congratulations on his part. I just don't see him warranting more than $6-7 million. If you want to give him some incentives, that's fine, but usually you give incentives to players that either have injury histories, and with Suh not missing a game since like 2011 and 2 games his entire career, I don't know if I'm going to give him a incentive-based deal to stay healthy, if that makes sense. Another defensive tackle that continues to get brought up in circles, whether I'm looking on Twitter, Instagram, my DMs, Darius Philon. If you think that the Raiders should go out and sign Suh, does that mean that you also believe that the Raiders should sign Philon? I'm going to talk about Philon a little bit here on today's show, and I'm sure I'm going to get a mailbag question or two around him because that's just the way it's been over the past few weeks. But why for yes and for no? Philon last season filled in, I thought, pretty well in a Gus Bradley system. I mean, we talked about him a lot. He was pretty much one of the best, I'll say, defensive tackle pass rushers the Raiders have had at DT in quite some time. Now, the injury in Week 18 does make me a little bit nervous about his future and what exactly it means going forward for his NFL career. The Raiders have already brought him in on a visit. They let him go without signing him, which a lot of times that speaks volumes to me. But why for yes and for no? Phil, Peggy, all typing their end for no. Kenneth Phelps, no. Patrick Hill says both. I love Philon. Bring them both in. Got a yes coming in from Matthew Yoakum, Madman Raider. What up, Madman? It's good to see you, bro. Type those Y for yeses or N for nos. It's Super Chat time. David Taken, I would sign Suh to about $6 million and a $2 million bonus at the max. I think that is a respectable deal for Ndamukong, and it depends how much you think he's going to be used. Like, I'm not going to bring Suh in to be somebody who's playing over 600 snaps. No, I'm looking at Suh thinking, like, all right, you're about 36 years old. I want to get these rookies building up to that point. I'm going to sit here and say 400 snaps. That might even be pushing it a little bit, like 300 snaps for Suh. That's a pretty good. I know I said snoo. What's snoo? I don't know. All right, Raji Gaines says, Raider Nation, we doing big things this year. You know what, man? I agree with you, Raji Gaines. Appreciate the super chat, my dude. So one thing here. We are going to be mixing up the show just a little bit. I'm actually going to start the show off with a mailbag today because we're going to do a Rumble after-hours show at the very, very end. So we're going to do a mailbag. Then we're going to get into rumors, another mailbag, and then my Rumble-only segment, which is going to be around 9 defensive tackles, not named Ndamukong Suh, that the Raiders could sign that are currently free agents. So if you want to get your questions, your comments on the show, it's hashtag Raiders or send in a super chat. We'll get into that segment here in about 2, maybe 3 minutes. So I'm curious, y'all. Today is the first day of summer. Some people have said it's the summer of Jones for months now at this point. But I want to know, out of the seasons, what's the best season? Is it spring, summer, fall, winter? I had a conversation with Sam, and always get those F-Sams in the comments. Him and I were talking before the show started, and I was like, you know, I feel like summer as a kid, which is the obvious, well, no shit, Mitch. Summer's the best one as a kid, but now it's fall because when football season's not happening, I don't know what the hell to do with my life. Sam, what do you think, man?
I think there are two very clear answers, and you said them both. Like you said, as a kid, the summer was the perfect time. Any season that wasn't school, you were a fan of. And so, yeah, summer up until you're about 17, 18. Even, I think the start of college to fall.
Fair.
I think
college changes things.
There's a period where maybe the back end of college, like the spring maybe would be more fun.
Spring break. See, I never got spring break. I played baseball. So our spring break was us driving 24 hours in a bus full with 45 sweaty dudes because I went to a small college, and that was my spring break. It was fun. I love playing ball. I miss playing baseball with all my college buddies, but I never got the full spring break experience.
Well, I did. So spring is a good time in college, and then you get to the adult life.
If anybody sees Sam in a Girls Gone Wild video, send it to me on Instagram at Mitchell Renz 365. We didn't get a super chat, but we will answer that. How about during the mailbag? Is that fair?
Sure.
Sounds good. So coming up here live on the Raiders Report, we're going to be talking about Suh, the latest news around him, 53-man roster projection, but that's going to be after the first mailbag. We got 2 of those on the docket for today, and then the best free agent defensive tackles not named Ndamukong Suh, because let's face it, one, I've spelled that name, and I'm confident on how to spell it now, which is kind of crazy to me. And on top of that, he's the only player that I feel like I ever get questions about, whether it's in my DMs or whatnot. And if the Raiders are doing their homework on Suh, it means they're doing their homework on other DTs. So I just want to give you guys some extra names to at least keep in mind. So coming up now, we got a mailbag. So to the super chats coming from Danny Bowe and Daniel Keenan, I will get you coming up here on the Raiders Report during the mailbag. We good? Sam's giving me the thumbs up. Right, y'all? You ready to get the show going? If you are, like the video right now. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and it is mailbag time. I love mailbags because y'all can submit your questions. I can go ahead and analyze them, give you my 2 cents on them. So the first one, because as always, if you super chat during our live show, I'm going to show you a little bit of love here. Danny Bowe Cuddy, I see Suh being a Raider in a few weeks. In the interview, it seemed like he is still weighing his options. I feel like he is more towards the dark side. How many just win babies can we get? I'm going to say 2 just win babies. To me, from what I've I've heard, it's a two-team race. It's the Minnesota Vikings. It's the Las Vegas Raiders. There was a chance that I thought Cleveland could be in the mix for him as well because they need some defensive tackle help. But a lot of times when you talk about big-name free agents, dominoes start to fall. Akeem Hicks, he signed. Then Larry O just signed with the Steelers on Tuesday. So I believe Ndamukong knows that he's one of the top guys out there. There's going to be a lot of teams coming out for him. But from what I heard, Raiders, Vikings, those are the top two teams. Let's go to the next Super Chat coming in from Daniel Caps Keenan. Suh on ESPN Live last 2 days and wants to go to Vegas. Come on, Mitch. Use your connections to get Suh on the team. Raiders! So, I talked about this morning, and I actually talked about it a little bit yesterday, and I've been talking about Suh going to the Raiders for months at this point. But you're right. When Suh was asked whether or not he wanted to go to the Raiders, he grinned. He was also repping a silver and black coat. Now, sure, it's middle of June. I might be reading into this a little bit too much. But if you watch that interview, you can't tell me that he's not sitting there at least a little bit excited of the idea. And he also said the word interesting, and I can't think of the exact quote. Interesting opportunity. Thank you, Sam. Interesting opportunity. To me, that says that the Raiders have already reached out, which I know they have, but it still hasn't happened yet. So I'm sitting there waiting for it to happen as well. All right, y'all. So remember, hashtag Raiders, or you can super chat. Let's go to the next question here. What up, OG Bloodstain? Sign OBJ or Julio on a one-year deal. If I have to pick, I'm going to take OBJ simply because both of these players have been banged up. Yes, Odell tore his ACL, but Julio over the past 2 seasons missed 14 games. Father Time is catching up. If you were to tell me out of any receiver that's still a free agent, I think Cole Beasley right now might be one of the most intriguing options because of his fit in a Josh McDaniels system next to Hunter Renfrow, a route assassin. But one name to not sleep on, there's a good chance that the New England Patriots end up moving on from Nelson Aguilar, and if that happens, I would be shocked if the Raiders don't at least pick up the phone and say, hey, Nelson, you want to try to run it back here in Vegas? We got Corey Peters. You're next up here on the Raiders Report. Why haven't the Raiders signed Darius Philon? I think there's a handful of reasons. Well, first, the Raiders brought him in on a visit, and usually when you bring in a player on a visit and they leave without signing, it's either A, there was a disagreement in a contract, or B, sometimes the medical doesn't check out. The fact that Philon, we'll say, injured himself week 18 with a patellar injury, which is not a good injury whatsoever, especially for a defensive tackle. To me, I don't think the Raiders are 100% confident that Philon is healthy. On top of that, every time Philon has not been on a defense coached by Gus Bradley, he hasn't been very good. It's really as simple as that. So how about this, y'all? I got a random question for everyone who's coming across this Raiders mailbag, and shout out to the 600 people watching. If you're having a good day, please like the video. How many games will the Raiders win this upcoming season? Because when I did my initial Raiders season projection, I had 10 wins, and I was hoping that there'd be a few more big-time signings that maybe got that 10 wins to 11, maybe even 12. But I'm still sitting here with the current Raiders roster at 10 wins, but y'all let me know how many wins for the Silver and Black. Super Chat time. Xavier Bradford, priority number 1, Suh. Second Philon signing, both third Raider Nation for life. Unfortunately, I'm going to disagree with you. I do think the Raiders' first priority right now is signing Ndamukong, though there's some people out there that don't think that the Raiders have interest. I'm telling you, the Raiders have interest. And then on top of that, I think it's them going out and trying to find another key piece to the defense. Unfortunately, I don't see Philon being a Raider. I also don't think that the Raiders should do this. There's other defensive tackles out there that are better options, more healthy, and would be better fits for this defense. If it was up to me, I would pick up the phone and I would either call somebody like a Janoris Jenkins, somebody maybe like a Chris Harris Jr., someone who I can put in the back of my secondary, or hell, there's even some halfway decent 3-4 linebackers like a Jamie Collins would be another interesting addition. And, of course, Darrell Williams. Dick So Solid Dixon, you hear it on the table? Did you see that he was messaging Max and Jones and said it could be interesting? I think they offered him a contract, but he wants a little bit better. I think he's just weighing out his deals. And, again, I woke up early this morning. I put out a video on the Raiders Report It was before 10 a.m., and I illustrated everything in there that he talked to Max, he talked to Chandler, and if you want to see the entire quote, it is on the Raiders Report from my segment that I put out bright and early on Tuesday. So, but yes, Dick So Solid Dixon, I did see it. And a lot of people saw it too. If you follow me on Instagram, you follow me on Twitter, you guys know where to find me. What up, Raider man? If we sign Suh, or is that different Sue? Is this like your Aunt Sue, or is it Ndamukong? Let me know. We would have the best D-line of football. Do it. Just win, baby. Unfortunately, I'm not going to agree with this. The Raiders' defensive line, I still think is probably not even in the top half. Now, yes, you have two legit edge rushers in Max Crosby and Chandler Jones. But your defensive tackle room, I'll say right now, is bottom 5 in the NFL. And even if you add Suh, you have two good edge rushers in Crosby and Jones. But Malcolm Kuntz is a question mark. Cleveland Ferrell is a question mark. Tayshaun Bauer is a question mark as far as I'm concerned. And then the guys behind that, yes, I want Neil Farrell Jr. Yes, I want Vernon Butler to be good. I want Matthew Butler to be good. But there is still a lot of question marks. Say it'd be the best D-line of football, definitely pushing it. I would say right now you have the best duo with Chandler and Max, but I can't put them even in the top 10 in terms of entire defensive line. So, y'all, I know we do a lot of Raider shows here, but Chat Sports, we're also going to be live for the NBA Draft, so make sure you subscribe to the #1 most watched NBA Draft coverage on YouTube. At the link that you see below, it's youtube.com/chatsportstv. If you enjoy our NFL Draft coverage, you're also going to enjoy our NBA Draft coverage. Why? Not that it's the same thing, but it's very similar. We get the picks way before you see them on TV. We're going to be having a good time. We're going to be having some drinks. Now, I don't know that much about the NBA. I know, spoiler alert, and thank God I don't have to try to pronounce all those names or else that would be just an absolute circus. But we got an awesome team with Harrison Graham, Chase Sr., You might see me taking a few shots. You might see me taking a few drinks. So if you want to drink and party with me, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Let's go to the next one. Coming in here on this Raiders Report mailbag. Is it a good sign that the Raiders haven't met with Williams even after minicamp? Is it a good sign? I'm guessing you're talking about Daryl Williams. To me, is it a good sign? No. Is it a good sign? Yes. I can say no because Daryl Williams is still an upgrade over Alex Leatherwood and Brandon Parker. But I can also make the argument that it could be a good sign that the Raiders like what they see out of Leatherwood. They like what they see out of Parker. And hell, from what I've been told, the offensive line impressed during minicamp and OTAs. And yes, it's, people don't really have pads on, and they're not doing what they need to be able to do. But Carmen Brasillo is a good offensive line coach. I'm going to trust him. I'm going to trust the process of what this organization has done this offseason. And for Daryl, if he was smart, I actually think the longer and longer he waits, the more money he makes because there's not going to be a better right tackle out there or offensive lineman, I think, at this point. We have, is that milk in my eye? What is that? Malikai Winslow. Eddie Goldman is a name you keep mentioning, but is he any good? Well, two reasons why I keep mentioning Goldman, maybe even three. The Raiders haven't needed defensive tackle. He played for the Chicago Bears last year, which there's a connection not only with Bilal Nichols, but also Champ Kelly. And yes, he is good. If you look at his numbers from 2021 on PFF, he did not have a very good season. In 2020, he opted out. But from 2019, he was good. 2018, 2017, he was one of the best defensive tackles in all of football. And I'm hoping the fact that he's only 29 years old, you put him next to Chandler Jones, Max Crosby, you let him just be the athletic person that he is, that's when you see that it could potentially work out. If you want a cheaper option, because he would be cheaper, I believe, than Ndamukong, it's just the name that I'm throwing out there because, to me, it makes sense from a connection standpoint and a fit standpoint. Totally random question. This has absolutely nothing to do with the Raiders, but you know what? I've been thinking. And I'm always looking for the best food joints wherever I go, right? I just did a burger eating contest in Vegas. And I love my favorite things to eat: burgers, pizza, tacos. So what you guys think here? I know Raider Nation spreads far and wide all over the world, and most of the Raider fans that I met are taco connoisseurs. So what's the best state in the entire world? Best state in the world, I know, United States. Best tacos, let me know. Seriously, is it California? Texas has got some awesome tacos, though I will say the best tacos I ever had was in San Diego. So maybe it's San Diego. Is it Nevada? Is it New Mexico? Let me know. Best state in the entire United States for tacos. Super chat time coming in from Xavier Bradford. Yo, Mitch, Let's get this live going. Raiders! You know what? I'm ready to get the live going as well. If we hit $100 in supers, which we're about 65 away, we're going to get some Fireball out, and I also have the beer boot. If you guys want to get this thing going, man, I was ready to go. I saw the Ndamukong news this morning. I was like, I'm ready to party. So if you guys are ready to party, we can always party on the Raiders Report. We got this next question coming in from Jersey. What up? What right tackle can you see the Raiders possibly trade for if Leatherwood starts at guard? I mean, if Darrell Williams is still there, I would rather the Raiders go out and sign him. If not, to me, a good tackle option that I believe would be available. Andre Dillard of the Eagles. He's been on the trade block for a while. Another name to keep in mind, Mekhi Becton. Mekhi Becton for the Jets. He came in last season overweight, which is one of the reasons why he didn't fall in the great hands of the new coaching staff. But I'll say Andre Dillard and Mekhi Becton, probably the top two names that come to mind for me. We got Ray. What up, Ray? That burger went straight to your hips. Laugh out loud joke. You're not joking. How was it just being around those guys? Well, Colton Miller made me feel about this big. He was one of the most massive human beings I've ever seen. If y'all haven't seen my Raiders interviews, I did interviews with Jonathan Hankins, Andre James, Kendall Vickers, and Colton Miller. Shout out to those guys for coming to the Barcode Burger event that we hosted on June 11th. We raised over $1,000. It was cool. It was also cool being able to go back to Big Time Hank's house, hanging out with some of the Raiders players. We just hung out, watched the movie, kicked it. It was just cool to see their family life, get to know them on a more personal level. But I'll say this, Hankins was probably one of the most down-to-earth people that I have ever met, which is always a refreshing thing, no doubt about it. All right, y'all, remember, if you can't tune in live and you're like, wait a minute, how do I get my questions, my comments on the Raiders Report? YouTube has this new feature. It's called Super Thanks, and you're going to see some Super Thanks pop up here on screen. It's literally the heart underneath the YouTube video. You click that, and it's just like a super chat. Great job at the event, Oos. Just found out what Oos meant, so Rome, shout out to you and appreciate that you had a good time. 2 questions, Mitch. Do you think it's possible that Jacobs could have a record-breaking season? I'm going to say, in terms of record-breaking season, no, because I don't see him getting more yards than he had as a rookie. And do you feel it's possible DC could put it all together and win it all? Yes. Anything is possible. He's got to stay healthy. You got to be playing the right football. The Raiders have the offense to be able to do that. Randy Griggs, wow, you guys are getting your money's worth here. All right, the biggest need is tough. Right tackle would help to ensure the quarterback and wide receiver and running back are successful as possible, which we have invested a ton into. Defensive tackle would ensure that defensive end would be as successful as possible, which is also invested into a lot. I think it really comes down to what do you want. Okay, so I'll say this. At this current moment, because of the injuries to Bilal and Jonathan Hankins, I'm going to say defensive tackle is actually a bigger need than right tackle. However, right tackle might be a position to invest more money in because of a lot of the reasons you said. Derek Carr's your biggest asset. You want to make sure he's healthy, because if he's healthy, then Devontae Adams plays well. If something happens to DC, your money invested in Devontae is not going to go well, plus and money invested in Hunter, the money you're about to invest in Darren Waller. So right tackle is the position I would invest more into, though defensive tackle to me might actually be the bigger need. Let's go to Hooligan Tim. Remember that one game when Amik Robertson locked up Keenan Allen against the Chargers? Yes. I also remember the same game. I don't know if it was the same game, but oh, man, what's his name? Isaiah Johnson. Remember him? He was released. He locked up Mike Williams. I mean, there was one game where I was like, oh, here we go. Isaiah Johnson out of Houston. He's about to be this long, lanky corner that's going to start locking up people. Unfortunately, you can have a good scheme. You can have the right fit. It just sometimes doesn't always work out the way you want it to. So which, it is what it is. Let's go to Chad Florentine. Also, shout out to Juan Trulio for the $2 super chat. If you got a question, man, please don't be shy. Throw it up there. Mitch, what kind of depth? Oh boy, there was a big guy. What kind of depth do we have behind Crosby and Jones? If any one of these dudes go down, what are we working with? Nothing. Thoughts? I think you're working with this, and you're right. You don't have a lot to go off of. You're hoping Clee's a little bit better in a new scheme. You're hoping that Malcolm Kuntz can take that next step. Tayshaun Bauer's been working, from what I've heard, pretty hard this offseason. He was even at the Von Miller camp. It was, but But you're right, though. Not a lot of depth. In terms of extra edge rushing ability, you would probably see Klee line up more as a defensive end, and then Jones would probably line up more as an outside linebacker, if you will. We got a big-time super chat coming in. $50 soup. Hell yeah, I'll take a few shots for that. So RaiderMan01, that super chat just put us at $8 away from doing... You're going to do a shot with us? All right, so Marshall Green said if we get to $100 in soups, he's going to do a shot. So I'm ready to get this thing going. Hang on. I should answer this question, shouldn't I? Oh, boy, I haven't done it in a while. Mitch, the Saints just unveiled their new alternate helmet. I'm dying for us to have our own. I agree, which I can tell by your picture. Shield never needs to change. Just all black and be the first team to rock chrome and a helmet with a chrome face mask. So usually, I'm a very... How's a good way to say this? I'm sometimes a bit of a boomer when it comes to, like, if it's not broken, don't fix it, right? And I just feel like that's my baseball background. However, there's not a world where you could tell me that an all-black Raiders uniform wouldn't look good. And I get it. The Raiders have great uniforms already. They do. But they've already also been blessed with the best colors, I think, of sports. Silver and black, that would look clean. It would look mean. And I would be all about an all-black Raiders uniform. If you guys are with me right now, then please like the video. Remember, y'all, you can always hit me up on IG. You can hit me up on Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365. And major shout-out to RaiderMan01 for this super chat, which so far you're the MVP of today's show. I'm also seeing we are at $99.99 in super chats. This is unbelievable. If I missed your question, please don't be afraid to slide in my DMs at Mitchell Renz 365. All right, the first mailbag has been wrapped up. We are getting ready now to get into the latest news and rumors going on around the Las Vegas Raiders. If you want a shout-out here on the show, shout out your city right now. We'll give some shout-outs here. And Marsh, I know you said you're thirsty. Marsh is thirsty here, so Marsh is going to come take a shot. If you guys want, go follow Marshall on Twitter at Marshall_Green or Marshall Green. Green _.
Go Yankees.
Oh, God.
Best team in baseball.
All right, I don't even know why I did this now. Now I feel bad. I'm a Mets fan. He knows better. Oh, dude, I can't. See, the worst part was,
Padres fans?
I mean, who's your guys' favorite baseball team? Dodgers is my guess. Cheers to Marsh. Cheers to the nation. And we hit 100. Probably some Ace fans in there as well. Yeah, I see some Oaklands. Marsh is going to be back. All right, we got to get to 200 in soups, and Marsh will come back. How about this? If I get a $100 super chat today, which we have not gotten in a while, we'll get the boot going. If we can get the boot going, then that usually gets the party going. Bishop Pfeiffer, shout out to you, my dog. All right, let's get some shout outs to some of these people watching all over the world. We got a Chicago White Sox fan from Haywood Pratt, New Orleans from Raider Nation Trish, Portsmouth, Virginia from Lil Ron C, Albuquerque from Zele Bo 69, Tampa Bay from Gregory Mullen, Albany, Oregon from Lee, Red Sox from Raider 508, interesting, Portsmouth, Virginia from Lil Ron again, Dodgers from Braden, Rays from Gregory, Yankees from Lost Boy, Mets baby from Daniel Keenan, New Orleans Raider Nation. Let me know where you guys are watching from right now. All right, y'all, we got a few more super chats. Let's freaking go. Mitch, Andre, I'm ready to freaking go, dude. This one put us over 100. So Marshall came in and did a shot with me. I had a little bit of a rough day yesterday, and I'm not going to lie. I was looking forward to coming in here today, talk a little Raiders football with the nation, and ultimately just have a good time. So you know what, Andre? I'm with you, bro. Cheers. All right, y'all. Remember, we will be doing an exclusive show and exclusive on Rumble and Rumble only. So essentially what's going to happen here today is we're going to do our live show on YouTube. And then once the live show on YouTube is done, so we still got rumors, another mailbag, and then our Rumble After Hours exclusive segment, which is going to be 9 defensive tackles, not named Ndamukong Suh, that the Raiders could go out and sign. If you're interested in seeing that, give us a follow on Rumble right now at rumble.com/Raiders Report. Patrick B, give it to me. PG2869, add to the drink fund. Raiders! Let's go to Manuel Valdez. The $5 soup also the way that this show grows, if you send in a super chat, please take a screenshot of it, post it on Twitter, post it on Facebook, post it on IG, and tag me. Because if you tag me on Instagram and I can put it on my story, I share it on my story, and I want to give you guys some love. I want to show you how much I appreciate that you take time out of your day to watch what I do. Believe it or not, this is how I put a roof over my head and food on my table. It's crazy. I know, believe me. And it's also how I put Fireball in my gut. What up, Patrick B? Dude, Patrick, I think one of the things that I would love to be able to do, if you're ever in Dallas, if we could do like a doggy date, I'd be totally down. So at my apartment complex, there's a doggy, what is it, a doggy... I say doggy daycare. A dog park, that's the word I'm looking for. I know, I just threw a Fireball. I haven't had Fireball on a show in a while, and I'm throwing it all over my computer. I would love to do a doggy date. There's also a really cool place down here in Dallas called Mutts, which there's like a bar. There's TV set up, so you can get some food, drinks, and your dog can play around a little bit. Just saying, that offer's on the table, but your dogs look a little small. At least one of them does. NEO line news. In terms of the offensive line news, I'll say, from what I understand right now, no. The guy to keep in mind who could be a very interesting name come 53-man roster time is Lester Cotton, no doubt about that. However, I could see this Raiders team keeping like 10, 9 offensive linemen because of all the different things they tried to do. I don't know if you're going to see an interesting cut candidate come out of some of these names, but that's the offensive line news. Unfortunately, I don't have much for you. And then wide receiver 3, it's still a bit of a battle, though. If certain guys like Nelson Aguilar get released, that could be a very interesting conversation that this organization could have, because as much as I like Matt Collins, as much as I like DeMarcus Robinson, as much as I like Keelan Cole, I think everyone watching right now would agree, and please, if you agree, type agree, that I would rather have Nelson Aguilar than all 3 of those guys. I know that he has the connection with Carr. $50 super chat. Cheers to Patrick B. And cheers to RaiderMan01. So far, y'all two are the MVPs of today's show. Dixo Dixon, what up, my man? I'm 33 and from the Bay, the only Raider fan in my family. F the 49ers, been a fan since 2000. It was the dark jersey that got me to go Raiders. Well, you know what they say. Once you go dark jerseys, you never go back. So, I mean, that's what I've heard. No, it's dark jerseys. You never go back, right? I'll say this. 33 years old. I was in the Bay just a few weeks ago. I would have loved to have been able to run into some of the extra Raider fans out there. I know, seeing this super chat, I know I'm not the only one that literally cannot wait for the Raiders 49ers January 1st game on New Year's. I was looking forward to the Cowboys game because I live here in Dallas. My girlfriend's a Cowboys fan. But this 49ers game, I definitely have circled on my calendar. All right, y'all, we will get back into some of these super chats. We will get back into the mailbag. We're $30 away. $30 away from Marshall and I doing some more shots of Fireball, and the offer's still out there. So Patrick and to Raider Man, I'll make you guys a deal. Since you've already sent in 50s, I said I would do a boot for 100. So if either of you two send in another 50, we'll do another beer boot here on the Raiders Report. So coming up now, we're going to get into a little news and rumors. We're going to talk about the latest going on around Ndamukong Suh, and I'm going to break down Paul Gutierrez's 53-man roster projection. That's all coming up right now here on the Raiders Report. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Coming up here on today's show, we're going to get into the latest around free agent defensive tackle Ndamukong Suh. On top of that, ESPN's Paul Gutierrez released his 53-man roster projection. I'm going to tell you the 53 players that he ended up keeping, and on top of that, I'm going to give you my analysis and my 2 cents of what I thought about it. So the latest going on around Suh is, well, not much has changed since bright and early on Tuesday when Suh appeared on ESPN on Monday. He said that the Bucs were out of the picture, and he smiled when he was asked about the Raiders. You could kind of see this little bit of a grit to him, and he was like, I've been in conversations with the Raiders. However, nothing has been pushed across yet. I will say there was a report that came out from Vincent Bonsignore in Vegas Nation that said the Raiders aren't interested in Ndamukong, and I'm just up here to tell y'all that that's actually not true. I know from me and another source that I'm very comfortable with said that the Raiders are 100% are interested in Ndamukong. So if you start seeing some conflicting reports, I'm going to take my guys over Vincent and over that team every single day of the week, so please keep that in mind. So in terms of Ndamukong Suh, one of the things that Suh said was he was talking to 2 Raiders players that to me, I think they have a lot of connections. And he tweeted out on Tuesday, Raiders could be fun. He also posted this on his Instagram, and the fact that he's putting this out there, to me, is 100% proof that the Raiders are talking to him, and he's talking to the Raiders, but he's also talking to the Minnesota Vikings, and I think right now he's trying to get his asking price a little bit up. Not only is he tweeting this stuff out, he said that he's having conversations with Max Crosby, having conversations with Chandler Jones, and if those two guys are talking to Ndamukong, as far as I'm concerned, let's get it going. So I will say this. If the Raiders sign Ndamukong Suh, I hope y'all are ready to party. I hope you put your drinking pants on. I hope you go grab a six-pack, maybe get some Fireball as well. And we're going to go live, and it's going to be wild and crazy. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 115,000 subscribers. We're 229 away. If you're a diehard fan, if you bleed silver and black, hit that subscribe button. All right, y'all, so coming up now here on the Raiders Report, that was the latest around Ndamukong. Let's get into Paul Gutierrez's 53-man roster projection, and I'm going to start at the quarterback position. We're going to go through the offense. I'm going to tell you all the quotes that Gutierrez had to say and why he kept certain guys, and then I'll tell you what I think about it, and then we will go to the defensive side of the football. You got to talk about the quarterback position. You got Derek Carr, Nick Mullins, Jarrett Stidham. Also, you can't forget about Chase Garbers. So those are your four quarterbacks as it stands right now, and to be honest with you, I was a little bit surprised what Gutierrez went with. He went with Derek Carr, Jarrett Stidham, only two quarterbacks, and when you go back and look at some of the past history of New England, I get it. However, I was told by a Raiders player that Nick Mullins is a lot better, clearly better than Jarrett Stidham. Now, maybe because Stidham knows the offense and the trade happened, that's the reason why they go with that route. But here's what Gutierrez had to say. Wait, only two quarterbacks? Yeah, for now. McDaniel's old employer in New England was not shy about sticking with only two quarterbacks, so this will free up another spot down the roster. Again, for now, Carr is the unquestioned starter, and Stidham knows the offense. Keep an eye, though, on Colin Kaepernick, who worked out for Las Vegas in late June, even though the Raiders also have Nick Mullins and Chase Garbers on the roster after OTAs and minicamp. So Gutierrez has the Raiders keeping two quarterbacks. What about y'all? Do you think that the Raiders keep only two QBs? Some of you are probably like, just keep one. It's Derek Carr. Do you think they keep four? Do you think they keep three? Let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comment section right now, because for me, I see the Raiders keeping three quarterbacks, which, yes, that is going to take an extra position away from either the offensive line. Maybe it's in the defense, wherever. I just don't like the idea of the Raiders only going with two quarterbacks going forward with this season. So for that reason, I have them keeping three. Let's now look at the running back room, which is probably more stacked than it's been in quite some time. You know, you got Jacobs, Bolden, Drake, Abdullah, Brown, who the Raiders drafted, Zamir White, who the Raiders drafted, and then fullback Jacob Johnson. From the running back and fullback standpoint, Gutierrez is going to go with three, and I should also mention the numbers that you see next to the players is me counting out the 53 guys on the roster. That way you can kind of stay up to date with me. This is what Gutierrez had to say on why he went with these four backs and this fullback here. Running back by committee, anyone. This is tough to pick because neither of the returners, Jacobs and Drake, practiced during OTAs or minicamp because they are still rehabbing injuries. Bolden knows the offense, which gives him a huge leg up, and White is here as a draft pick. It's tough to leave veteran Amir Abdullah off given the workload he had this spring, but here we are. In terms of this entire idea, I get it. I do see the Raiders keeping five overall players in terms of running backs and fullbacks, though, and I mean this though, a player that I've been told to keep in mind as a serious trade candidate is Kenyon Drake. Let's now look at the wide receiver room, and man, I'll tell you what, every time I see Davante Adams on screen, it makes me a really, really happy dude. And for the first time in a long time, I love the depth that the Silver and Black have at the wide receiver position. Though, Gutierrez is keeping off one of the guys that y'all know that I like a lot, and that's Keelan Cole. He has the Raiders keeping Adams, Renfro, Robinson, Hollins, and Johnson. And the reason that I believe he keeps Johnson and Hollins is due to their special teams value. For Gutierrez, he says that, have you heard that Adams was Carr's favorite receiver in college at Fresno State? Of course you have. And with Adams being acquired in a blockbuster trade with the Green Bay Packers, one might say Carr has no more excuses remaining, which I 100% agree with. Now, with Adams, the best wideout in the game, and Renfro, who is the next to uncoverable in the slot, Robinson and Johnson bring speed, and Hollins is a special team standout. I don't disagree with any of the things that he said here. However, if you're going to sit up here and tell me that you're going to keep Johnson, I'm going to have the Raiders keeping 6 wide receivers because to me, Keelan Cole is a good route runner. He's going to be somebody who earns his stripes with Derek Carr. He's going to earn his stripes with this Raiders offense in general. So to me, I'm going to continue to pound on the table, giggity, that Keelan Cole ends up making the Raiders roster. Now, this is the Raiders Report, so shout out to all y'all, but guess what? I'm a big sports junkie, and I work at Chat Sports, and we're going to be live for the NBA Draft. So if you haven't already, go subscribe to Chat Sports. We got over 300,000 subscribers over there, youtube.com/chatsportstv, and we're going to get the picks before you see them on TV. Now, I might not be the guy giving the analysis, but I'm going to be drinking, I'm going to be having a good time, and I want you to join the party. Remember, youtube.com/chatsportstv. It's time now to look at the tight end room, which is Marshall Green's favorite position on the field. You got Darren Waller, Foss Moreau, those are your top 2 guys. And then there's some extra depth pieces here. Hollister, Bowers, Horsted, Fotheringham, who I can never pronounce his name. But anyway, in terms of if you're going to run 2 tight end sets, only keeping 3 tight ends is a little bit of a ballsy move to me. Waller, Moreau, no doubt are your top 2. And then for Gutierrez, he's keeping Bowers, who I see as more of a pass catcher, not so much of a blocker. Waller endured a spring full of trade rumors. This is what Gutierrez had to say. But instead of watching old tape of old Rob Gronkowski, who on Tuesday just announced he retired, running wild as a precursor of what McDaniels envisions, Waller doing in his offense, Moreau is still on the ascent and a favorite of Carr's, while Bowers' blocking ability gets him the nod over new regime free agent signing Jacob Hollister, but barely. Here's the thing. You're going to notice that I'm like, man, I see the Raiders keeping this many players, or I see the Raiders keeping this many players. I've already said that I would add an extra quarterback, I would add an extra wide receiver, and I would add an extra tight end, which means somewhere down the line, I'm going to have to get rid of 3 players, which if I end up doing a 53-man roster projection video, you'll see where they end up being. Let's now look at the offensive line because this is a big one. And I know the route that Gutierrez went with here because of all the talk around the Raiders' offensive line. Unfortunately and fortunately, though, this is going to be a lot of competition, and it's probably going to be the main conversation standpoint of the entire offseason for multiple reasons. Because, you can have an amazing offense, but if you can't block like we saw last season, it doesn't really matter, and this is an old school thought, but football is won in the trenches, and I truly, truly believe that. For Paul, he was like, all right, if we keep 10 offensive linemen, that potentially helps out the silver and black get better. The unfortunate part is this. I just don't understand how you're going to sit up here and tell me that they're going to keep 10 offensive linemen. To me, it's a little bit of a rich move to do. I'm not going to keep Alex Bars in my 53-man roster projection. I've been told he's a sleeper. I have the Raiders going with 9 guys. But hey, this is what Paul had to say. This is more about what his thoughts are, and then I'm also chiming in with my 2 cents. Are the Raiders really going to run it back with the same O-line that got Carr sacked 40 times last season? The second most in his 8-year career. Looks that way from a certain point of view. Is Leatherwood going to move back to right tackle? What about Good, who suffered a torn ACL in the season opener? Parham, the first draft pick, of the new regime, could get a long look at either guard spot as well as the backup center. When I look at that offensive line, and I really, really, truly hope that the Raiders do add some extra players, but one guy to not sleep on, who was a clear winner from what I've been told from minicamp and OTAs, Lester Cotton. Please, do not sleep on that name. I'm not saying he's going to make it, but I think he has a better shot than Alex Bars from what I've been told. So what do y'all think here? How many offensive linemen will the Raiders keep? Do you have them keeping 11, 10, 9, 8? Usually the sweet spot for NFL teams, if you're really confident about your offensive line, you keep 8 or 9. If you're a little bit more shaky, you see 10 or 11. My sweet spot number is going to be 9. We went with the offense. It's time now to look at the defensive side of the football. And yes, the Raiders have arguably the best, and I'll sit up here and say the best edge rushing duo in the entire NFL with Max Crosby and Chandler Jones. Besides that, though, lots and lots of question marks. So for Gutierrez, he has them keeping 4. Crosby, Jones, no surprise. Cleveland Ferrell, and then Malcolm Kuntz. You're hoping that these guys can just be, when Crosby and Jones need a breather, these 2 players come in for 10 snaps a game, pin their ears back, and get after the quarterback. Defensive end was not really the position I was all that curious about. It was defensive tackle because in Patrick Graham's system, you're going to see a lot of moving parts, especially at the DT room. And from what I've seen, from what Gutierrez has put together here, not that this is the one I disagree with the most, but there is going to be some shifting in this because I'm a believer that the Raiders add to their defensive tackle room. I like Hankins. I have Butler, Nichols, Farrell, Vernon. Butler, to me, is still a little bit of a coin flip. Kyle Pecco, even though he retweeted me when I made a video about him, I just don't understand that there's a scenario that Kyle Pecco ends up making this 53-man roster unless there is something that I don't know, which I would say out of all the positions amongst the Raiders right now, I'm probably the most plugged into the DT room. But this is what Gutierrez had to say, a 4-3 defense or a 3-4 under new defensive coordinator Patrick Graham. Either way, the Raiders already have a formidable pass rush duo in Crosby and Jones and need a lot of interior help to not only defend the run, but push the pocket. No wonder Las Vegas drafted defensive tackles with consecutive picks in Farrell Jr. and Matthew Butler, while signing Nichols, Pecco, and Vernon Butler in free agency. Might Farrell, the number 4 overall pick of the 2019 draft, be a better fit as a 3-4M? That still remains to be seen. So again, I don't see Pecco making the roster, and he might have made the roster last year, though the DTs were probably a little bit deeper. I will say this, do not sleep on Tyler Lancaster. He's a big body. He was brought in for a reason, and obviously so is Pecco. But when I look at the upsides of guys like Hankins, the upsides of Nichols, sometimes you need a safe floor player. And to me, Lancaster can be that safe floor player. It's time now to go to the linebacker room. And remember, y'all, you're watching the Raiders Report. We are breaking down the latest Suh news, but also Paul Gutierrez's 53-man roster projection. Here is the linebackers, and linebackers probably the most difficult graphic I have because of all the moving parts from top to bottom. But Gutierrez has the Raiders keeping 6 linebackers, which is a lot, if I'm being honest with you. Yes, I like Divine Diablo, Denzel Perriman. Those 2 are locks. Jayon Brown, he's a lock. Kyler Fackrell, to me, is a lock. What it really comes down to is Kaiser and Young. Gutierrez says, talk about a rebuilt unit. Only Perriman and Diablo returned from last season, while Fackrell knows Graham's scheme, and Kaiser, Brown, and Young have all been in the league since at least 2018. So for me personally, I see the Raiders keeping 5 linebackers because the way Graham's system works, if you run a 4-2-5, if you decide to run a 3-4, you're going to be able to use a guy like Chandler Jones, a guy like Cleveland Ferrell, a guy like Malcolm Koonce as a stand-up linebacker at one point. So to keep 6 of them, I don't think makes a lot of sense. I believe that the final spot's going to be between Kaiser and Young, and whatever player can be the better special teams guy, I think ends up making that final spot. So this is a 53-man roster projection breakdown video and reaction. If you want me to make my own 53-man roster video, all I want you to do, type 53 right now, and if I get enough 53s, I'll send this video over to my bosses and say, see, told you, they don't want me to make this video. So if you want to see it, please type 53 because I want to make the video. Let's look at the quarterback room now, y'all. This has been another position where we've been having multiple discussions because Trayvon Mullen's banged up. Nate Hodges is a stud. Raiders traded for Rocky Sin. But, what about Anthony Averett, Amik Robertson, Phillips? A lot of potential here. ESPN's going to go with 5, and I'm not really surprised by the 5 whatsoever. If you were to tell me, Mitch, bet your life on the 5 cornerbacks that make the roster, this is the 5 that I end up going with. It shouldn't really surprise too many people out there. For Gutierrez, he's like, all right, Mullen has been a starter since his rookie season of 2019, but injuries limited him to 5 games last season. So he has something to prove to the new regime, especially with Averett having started 14 games for the Baltimore Ravens last year. Yasin was acquired in a trade with the Indianapolis Colts for edge rusher Yannick Ngakoue, and Hobbs was a rookie revelation in the slot. Phillips fits in as a return man. I'll say this, even though I agree with that group of 5, I'm going to be cheering for Amik. I was told that Amik was a big-time winner from OTAs and minicamp. The coaches like his versatility. The issue is, and it's a good issue to have, the Raiders are more talented this year, but I'm still absolutely going to be rooting for Amik Robertson in the offseason and preseason, and I would love for him to be able to get a chance. The issue is, I don't know if it's going to happen. Let's go to the safety room now. You got Abram, Merrig, a lot of depth here, which I like. Gillespie, Roderick Teamer, Harmon, and then Dalen Levitt. The Raiders re-signed Roderick Teamer. They re-signed Daniel Levitt. They went out and signed Harmon. However, you're only going to see 4 safeties on the roster, and I think this speaks volumes to the confidence that they have and the 4 players that you see on screen. Mayer is going to play every snap. Deron Harmon and Abram, these 2 are going to combine to be a very good dynamic duo at the safety position. What it really comes down to is, do you keep Tyree Gillespie or do you keep Roderick Teamer? Do you keep somebody else, even like a Daniel Levitt? Gutierrez had this to say. A fluid position, to be sure, with Abram, whose pass defense skills need improvement, getting a lot of work this spring, lining up deep across from Merrick in 2 high safety alignment. Harmon is entering his 10th season and started 17 games for the Atlanta Falcons last season, while Gillespie, a 4th-round pick who was limited to 11 games as a rookie last year, gets the call over Daniel Levitt by a whisker. So to me, Levitt and Teamer are solid special teams players, which I know that this new Raiders regime that they brought in really likes, and yes, most teams like that, but if those players can prove that they can improve on defense, they might get the nod over somebody like Gillespie. So here's the special teams unit, and Renfro's already on, Johnson's already on. I just figured I would show you this because, guess what, kickers, they matter too, and shit, Daniel Carlson, he won the Raiders 5 games last season. But to round out our 53-man roster projection for special teams, it's A.J. Cole, it's Daniel Carlson, and it's Trent Sieg. So what do you think here? After seeing Paul Gutierrez's 53-man roster, grade it. A, B, C, D, or F. A, you absolutely loved it. B, it was good. C, it was average. D, it was bad. F, it's a fail. I'm going to give it a B grade. I disagreed with it a little bit, but overall, if the Raiders went with this roster, I can make the argument for it. I like it from top to bottom. This roster has a lot of talent, and I'm excited to see what happens going forward. And these videos where you do these types of roster breakdowns, I'm telling you what right now, it makes me excited for the simple fact of this Raiders team is going to be a lot better this upcoming season. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and give some shout-outs here to the peeps. And I see Patrick B took my challenge, and so did Dick So Solid Dixon. So appreciate y'all. But let's give some shout-outs to some of these. And then I got some drinking I got to do. So we got a B coming in from Ginger, Peak Boogie B, B+ from Boxing Club. Judo Joe Black's going to go with the C. Terrell says C. Juan Trulio is going to go B. Paul hates it. He gives it an F grade. Lucky King, B. 6 is going to go with the B. Philip Vargas, most of the votes coming in right now are B and C, though Felix is going to give it an A. All right, y'all, we got 850 people watching right now. I told Patrick B, if he sent in another $50 super chat, that I would do a beer boot. It's been a while, and I mean a while since I've done a beer boot here on the Raiders Report. But you know what? For the nation, I'm ready to get it going, and the team was lucky enough to pour it up for me while we were going through all that video. So this is what's going to happen. I'm going to knock down this beer here. Then we're going to get into another mailbag, and then we will do our Rumble After Hours segment, which is going to be around 9 defensive tackles that the Raiders should go out and sign, not naming Ndamukong Suh. And if you want to see it, rumble.com/Raiders Report. So you guys know the rule. If you're at home with me and you have a boot, take a beer down with me. If you got 3 beers just laying around, please don't be afraid to. But in the meantime, while I'm chugging this beer, I want you all to start using hashtag Raiders, and I want you to super chat, get those questions, those comments on the show. I would definitely appreciate it, because then we will go ahead and we will answer those questions. So you guys ready? Type chug down in the comments. Get those going in. I also see a lot of boots. If you want to spam in the comment section for boots, count me down, and then we will get into the mailbag. So, Sam, if you want to hop on the mic while I'm taking this beer down, please don't be shy. And if you want to give some shout-outs to the people taking chug or boot, go for it.
Mitch is going to start chugging in 3, 2, 1. We got plenty of people in the chat. Daniel, Peak Boogie, Terrell, Calvin Miles. I want to see how long this takes him real quick. This is at 20. Okay. F. Sam, Daniel Keenan, naturally, of course. Jimmy, of course, going in there. I'll definitely give more shout-outs if you say F. Sam. That's no doubt. Keep going. What are you?
Freezing.
We gave it like 10 minutes to chill. Blame Marshall. He's the one that grabbed the beers out of the fridge. F. Sam from Peak Boogie, Brian Baca, Jacob Murphy, Christian Medina said F. Sam, Mr. Akon. Sent it in boots. Felix said F. Sam. Lil Ron said F. Sam. That was actually pretty impressive. That was like 30 seconds.
No, that burnt. Remember, if you're gonna do a boot, you got to make sure it's warm. I know it doesn't taste as well, but A cold beer, man, it stings the nostrils. I mean, it's like, you know the old Anchorman movie? The good one, not Anchorman 2, which was just, let's be honest, Anchorman 2.
The old Anchorman movie only came out in
No, the second Anchorman movie was terrible. I didn't even watch the whole thing, and I loved the first Anchorman, but there's that skit with the perfume, the cologne. It's
Black Panther.
Black Panther, 60% of the time, works every time. The lines in
Sex
that.
Panther, I think it's Sex Panther.
Is it Sex Panther? Yeah,
Black Panther's the movie.
Yeah, it's definitely Sex Panther. All right, we're getting off the rails here. Those are some of my favorite quotes, though. It smells like a used diaper filled with Indian food. It smells like Bigfoot stick. That's where I'm going to let that off, and that made my eyes water because of just how strong that was, which, I don't know, my connection. All right, I'm moving on. So we're going to get into a mailbag now, so use hashtag Raiders. Or y'all can super chat, get those questions, those comments on the show. I'm going to answer it, which now that I'm realizing I got spilled beer, somebody's going to come across this video a week from now and be like, what the hell's all over this guy's shirt? But you know what? You guys are going to know. You are the real ones out there. We got 750 people watching, 430 likes. If you're having a good time, I know it's the middle of June, but hopefully you appreciate what the Raiders Report brings to the table. We try to bring some fun, try to bring some analysis, have a good time. I know Raider Nation likes to party, and that's why I love you all very, very much. So please like the video. Coming up now, another mailbag, and then we will go to our Raiders After Hours segment over on Rumble. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and it's mailbag time. Remember, we go live every single Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific, where we answer all y'all's questions. So if anything changes from now until then, please don't get mad at me. Let's go to Natapai007. Hey, Mitch, will the Raiders trade Jacobs or Drake before the season for draft picks? What's the word on Farrell or Abrams trade? If you were to ask me, out of all four of the players that you just mentioned, who has the highest probability of being traded, I would probably actually go with Kenyon Drake. And the reason is there's some teams out there, specifically like the New Orleans Saints, that they're a little bit worried about the future of somebody like Alvin Kamara. However, if a team offered the Raiders a fifth-round pick for Farrell, I think they would do it. If somebody offered the Raiders a fourth-round pick for Abram, I believe they would do it. I don't want to trade Jacobs because, to me, he's the one player on this list that is clearly the best one on the roster. Yes, I disagree with some things with Jacobs. I believe it's going to be his final year, but Josh makes us a better team, and I want to win right now. What up, Haywood Pratt? 11 wins, signed Sheldon Richardson instead of Suh. I do love Sheldon Richardson a lot. He is a hell of a defensive player, and if you're watching this live, you're going to like the segment I got coming up here. But he's more of a run stopper, and I still think the Raiders do need another presence of being able to get after the quarterback. But, yeah, I'd be absolutely on board for Sheldon Richardson. What up, Madman? Are we confident in our offensive line? On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving it a 6 right now. Like, it's not great. It's not bad by any means, but it's also, I don't even know if it's good at this point. It's maybe slightly below average. Like, it has the upside. If Alex Leatherwood can put it together at right tackle, then you're going to be a lot more confident. Andre James, if he is exactly what he was at the end of the season, then you're going to be feeling good. If Dylan Parham can slot in as a guard, if Denzel Good can be healthy, you know Colton Miller's that dude. But to sit up here and say that I'm really confident in the offensive line, I think I'd be lying, and I think a lot of people watching would be lying as well. Everything Bagels 3. I mean, best Bagels, let's be honest, that's in New York. I'll cancel that one. Kaepernick to the Raiders, when and is it going to happen? I don't think it's going to happen. I've been on the board that, to me, it doesn't make sense for the Raiders. From an on-the-field standpoint, from an off-the-field standpoint, I don't understand the logic of bringing Cap in. Now, if the Raiders decide to do it, that's going to be their decision. But I also think this. If you were going to do the Kaepernick move, I do have a feeling that it would have happened already. Though, if the Raiders sign Cap, the amount of money the team's going to make for a team that's cash short, especially in July and August, those preseason games, they might sell out preseason games if Kaepernick's the quarterback there. So think about it. All right, so how about this? Shout out to Sam for thinking this one on the fly. Should the Raiders sign Colin Kaepernick? Type that Y for yes, or you could type N for no. Super chat coming in from Brian Durant. Why is Drake on the trade block? I thought he would be a beast in a Josh system. I don't necessarily know if he's on the trade block. And when you see trade videos out there, it's more people trying to say, okay, this makes sense. The reason why Kenyon Drake could potentially be traded is because the Raiders, remember, they restructured his contract. So they did that. They took on void years. So he's only got 1 year left on his deal, but he's technically going to get paid by the Raiders over the next 4 years. On top of that, the Raiders went out and they signed Amir Abdullah. I like Drake more. They went out and they drafted Samir White, 2 totally different running backs, with the Brandon Bolden signing. The Brandon Bolden signing is the guy that's going to compete with Kenyon. So to me, I never liked the signing to begin with. Don't get me wrong, had a lot of fun, but that's why it would make sense for the Raiders to trade him. What up, Buddy Bear? Do you remember what your first jersey was? Mine was a Charles Woodson. It doesn't fit anymore, but I still have it. FKC Raiders. I don't remember. Well, my first Raiders jersey is Derek Carr, and to be honest, it's still the only Raiders jersey of a player that I own. I have created my own Raiders jerseys, based on my family. I'm about to get a Devontae Adams jersey. Still waiting for that one to come in the mail. But I believe my first Raiders jersey I ever had was Brett Favre. My dad bought me a Brett Favre Packers jersey, and I believe that was the first jersey I ever had, if my memory serves me correct. I'm trying to go back and think. I think it was a Brett Favre Packers jersey, but my dad and I, we used to do a lot of traveling, and we used to go all around trying to visit all these different cities and stuff, and there was a thing in Disney where you could sign up and catch footballs, and the people that were throwing the footballs were John Elway and Brett Favre. Not actually them, but the speed of the football coming out. And if you were able to catch the football, you got the jersey. And I don't know if they still do that, but my dad was able to catch Favre. He wasn't able to catch Elway's fastball, so that's how I got a Favre jersey. All right, we got Untouchable Raider 1960. There was an article that Carmen Brasillo called Tom Cable and talked for a while. Wonder what that was about. Also, Carr said, if we missed the playoffs, I failed in an interview. Yes, Carmen Brasillo did call Tom Cable, and I think he's just trying to see what he thinks about the offensive line. I think it's really as simple as that, and Carr's right. If you miss the playoffs after making the playoffs last year, it is a failed year. Simple, and as simple as that. So, hey, Raider Nation, I dare you to subscribe. I dare you to subscribe to the Raiders Report, and here's the thing. If you don't do the dare, I think you're a coward personally, but I dare you to subscribe to the Raiders Report because I encourage people to learn more. I encourage people to educate themselves about the silver and black, and here's the crazy thing. If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe. I'm not going to care, but I will say this. I checked out my analytics on YouTube. 40% of the people that are watching, that's a lie. 60% of the people watching my Raiders Report videos right now are unsubscribed. That is a mind-blowing number to me. So if you're one of those people, create a YouTube profile. If you watch the show all the time and you enjoy it, seriously, subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Let's go to David. Is it true Suh is visiting Vegas? I don't have any information on Suh going to Vegas as it currently stands right now. I haven't gotten a text message about it, so I'm not 100% sure on that. I do know this. Raiders and the Vikings are the two teams the most interested right now. What up, Chad? Florentine, Mitch. What depth do we have behind Crosby and Jones if any one of these dudes go down? Nothing. Thoughts. In terms of depth, you're essentially hoping for Malcolm Koonce and Cleveland Ferrell. Those are your depth pieces in terms of defensive ends, I would say. If you want to view those guys as more as edge rushers, Kyler Fackrell is more of an outside linebacker presence that you could be able to hopefully rely on a little bit. But in terms of overall defensive end depth, I don't really see the depth there. I know some people view this a little bit differently that I've seen on Twitter, but no, I don't think there's a lot of depth behind Jones and Crosby. What up, Bill Holloway? Could Suh be playing Minnesota and Raiders against each other? Yes. And that's part of the business, right? I mean, if you're an agent, you're going to pin Minnesota, Raiders up against each other, create a bidding war. It might get you an extra $1 million, but hey, I wouldn't mind an extra $1 million, if I'm being honest with y'all. Now, remember, I try to keep you guys up to date during the offseason. IG, Twitter. I also post about what the hell's going on in my normal day life. I post, pictures of my dad for Father's Day. I've been posting pictures of Chuck on my Instagram story, but I can't always make a video about everything that happens. But I will post on my IG story. I will post on Twitter everything that I see going on around the Raiders. So if you're interested in even knowing more, please hit me up. Give me a follow. Let's go to Raider Rogue. How much cap space do the Vikings have to sign Suh? The last time that I checked, I believe it was like $10 million. I got the hiccups. Hang on. I believe the last time I checked it was $10.9 million, which is half of what the Raiders have. And here's the thing, though. If I was Minnesota, I would try to do a better job of bringing back somebody like Sheldon Richardson. They've also lost some DT talent in the past, but the Raiders have twice as much cap space as Minnesota does right now, which, not always is that big of a deal, right? Like, Minnesota can still make it happen, but he could make more money in Las Vegas. Even if the Raiders gave him the exact same amount of money, let's say $5 million in Vegas compared to $5 million in Minnesota, the state taxes, you make more money in Las Vegas, which gives the Raiders a big opportunity to go out and get players like that. What up, Gregory? How's Trayvon doing? Oh, wait, Trayvon Moll's my cousin. That's crazy as hell. He wants to be a Raider. Heads up, Jonathan Abram is a big boxing fan and called out the Paul brothers who would win. I mean, if Jonathan Abram wants to box one of the Paul brothers, I would watch it. If you know Jonathan on a good enough level, I would box Jonathan Abram for charity. I think that'd be a really fun event. I know I'd get my ass kicked, but guess what? I'd 100% be down. And then for Trayvon, I would say he wants to be a Raider. It's a good answer. And I think he understands that if he is a Raider, he can be a solid cornerback one and go forward. I want him to be healthy, but I guess I would tell your cousin to get healthy, get focused out there on the football field, and keep it going. Let's go to Roy Sanders. I saw your Marvin Jones trade idea video. What about Laviska Shenault? So I actually think Laviska Shenault trade is more likely than a Marvin Jones trade because, to me, Marvin is one of the top 3 players on Jacksonville, and it's not technically my trade idea. It was Bleacher Reports. I just gave my analysis on it. But Laviska Shenault's a player who's probably like the 5th wide receiver on that depth chart at this point. I loved him when he was coming out of Colorado. Very versatile player. Adds some special teams ability. Can also be a little bit of a Swiss Army knife, which I hate saying because I've said it the past few years for some dudes. But I think Laviska Shenault would be a player that would be cheaper. Not as good as Marvin Jones, but cheaper and could make some sense for the Raiders. But I'd also love Marvin Jones for a 5th-round pick. So, all right, Roy, since you're speaking of trades, how about this? I want you to name a player the Raiders should try to trade for because this is the part of the offseason that if a trade goes down, I get excited, and I love talking about trades. And at this point, if the Raiders make a trade, I'm going to go live. Like, that's how much I want content right now. It is the middle of June. I need content. Put it in my veins. I want the Raiders to make a trade, and if it's for anyone, I would love Daron Payne. I would love for the Raiders to trade for Daron Payne. But, hey, that's just me. We got Port St. Lucie. All right, Paul G has the Raiders. All right, so Paul Gutierrez has the Raiders cutting Amik Robertson. Thought he had a good minicamp. He did have a good minicamp. The issue is the Raiders are a lot more talented at this current juncture. And when you look at the entire roster from top to bottom, do you decide to keep more offensive linemen? Do you decide to keep extra defensive tackles? I would probably go with extra offensive linemen, extra defensive tackles at positions that are more question marks compared to corner. Yes, there's question marks at corner, but our top 5 corners, I would say, it's a pretty good unit from top to bottom. What up, Juice Head? How many just win babies Jacobs retires as a Raider? I'll say a half a just win baby because he's got it tattooed on him. And if I was Jacobs, you start your career with a team, maybe you go somewhere else, and then you come back, sign a 1-year deal, and retire as a Raider. But in terms of him, he's only on the Raiders for 1 more year, and then maybe in the future. I don't know, maybe in the future he comes back. I don't know. What up, One Shot 89? What's a bigger need, defensive or offensive lineman? So the entire defensive. I think you mean defensive tackle, defensive line. I would say at this current moment, defensive tackle is a bigger need. However, if Jonathan Hankins and Bilal Nichols are healthy, I'll still then go back to right tackle because right tackle to me is a scary, scary position. All right, y'all, if you made it this far in the video, type made it because then when I go back and look at the comments, I'll know who's made it this far in the video, and that way I can be like, that guy rides or dies with me, which I appreciate. Let's go to Madman Raider. Mitch, now that you are the Barcode Burger champion, I would like to see you challenge and beat Colton Miller. Let's go, Mitch. I mean, I'll say this. If anybody out there, any Raider player, wants to challenge me in an eating competition, if any Raiders podcaster, YouTuber, if you want to create something where we can raise money for a charity, I'm in. I'll also say this. I can eat a lot of food. I know sometimes people think that I'm going crazy when I drink. My stomach has always been able to expand. I don't know why, but I can fit a lot of liquid and food in my gut. It's just the truth. But if anyone wants to challenge me, I'm ready. But Colton looks like he could eat me. So we'll see what happens there. What up, Aaron? What up, bro? What about signing Dwayne Brown? See, Dwayne Brown is a left tackle. I don't see him converting to right tackle at this current moment in his career. Plus, on top of that, if you're somebody who is, 35, 36 years old, I don't know if it's a good business decision either. There's going to be a team out there that ends up paying Dwayne Brown something because he's a left tackle. What up, Bon Hell? Why not put Mitch as a safety and start over Abram? I don't know if this is a typo or if you legitimately thought me. I'm in good shape, and I am a good athlete for the normal person. I would be the worst athlete that's ever come across in the NFL. I know that Jonathan Abram is not a good coverage safety, but he is 10 times the athlete and safety that I could ever be. And if I was a safety in the NFL, I wouldn't be able to do the Raiders sport and, drink the way I do. All right, let's go to Joe Gatlin, 1974. Will the Raiders sing any other free agents? I don't know. I still think Ndamukong Suh happens. And then I'm going to say another one or two names pops up here. If you haven't seen, Joe, I put out a video, the top 5 free agents that I would like the Raiders to go out and sign that I believe could compete for starting positions. If you haven't seen that, please check it out. I think you would like it. What up, Lucky? What's the word on Hobbs being a safety? There's no word on it. They're trying out players at all these different positions because it's more of a it speaks more volumes of how talented Nate Hobbs is, if anything. Like, they might try it out. First off, it was a typo. Well, the one thing I don't understand, though, is if Nate Hobbs was as good as what he was, which he was the best slot corner in the NFL last season. You go back and look at some numbers from PFF. Best slot corner in the NFL. As a rookie, I don't see why you go away from that. That's a very valuable position in today's NFL. What up, Brian? Do you think Derek Carr has the most interceptions in his career because he may be trying to feed it to his stars too much? No, I don't see him having more interceptions this season. If he has more interceptions this season than he did last season, he had 14 last year. I mean, that would surprise me. Now, if the Raiders try to throw the ball a little bit more, then maybe. But even that, like, if Darren Waller stays healthy, if Hunter Renfrow stays healthy, Devontae Adams, with that offensive line, you better hope DC doesn't throw for more interceptions, or else there's going to be a lot of shit going down amongst the nation. What up, Daniel Caps? Mitch, Darrell Williams signed with the Pats, so he's off the board. It's the other one. It's the other one. It's not Darrell Williams, the offensive tackle. It's the other one. So it's not the same one. Not the same one. What up, Gary? The Steelers were in talks for trading for Pro Bowl tackle Tyron Smith. Should we pursue this so he can play right tackle? Tyron Smith, again, has been battling a lot of injuries, though he's played left tackle predominantly his entire career. It's the same thing. If I'm Tyron Smith, I want to go to a team that I can play left tackle. And a lot of the reason is you make a lot more money at left tackle. It's the blind side, and I don't think the Cowboys do it. I think it'd be a very dumb move for them personally, though I don't think the Cowboys are a very smartly run organization. All right, y'all, remember, get daily Raiders videos and weekly live shows here on the Raiders Report every single Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. This has been an amazing show, but I do have to say this. You have to join us over on Rumble because we are going to go over to Rumble, and I'm going to make a special offer for some peeps out there, okay? We're going to be having a good time over on Rumble. We're going to be doing a segment around the top 9 defensive tackles that the Raiders can sign. And if you want to keep the party going, we can continue to keep the party going over there on Rumble as well. If you want to make me drink, we're going to do Venmos at Mitchell Renz 365. And then, what'd you say? And you can give money on Rumble too. Yeah, there's 2 easy ways to do it. So it's the exact same thing. But this is going to be your last chance. You see the live link down there below. Appreciate everyone who joined on our live show right now on YouTube. But in 3, 2, 1, we're going over to Rumble.